Hey everyone, welcome to the Survival Template Workshop. Today we're going to go over the template in Game Maker. If you click the Templates tab when you log in, you'll get the lovely list of templates that we have. We're going to go over the Survival one, and the Survival one will allow creations such as Minecraft-esque sort of games, don't starve, that sort of thing, where the player needs to gather resources, build tools, and those tools interact with the environment differently, and then you unlock upgrades and things of that nature. So this is free to use and you can edit it however you want. So we'll go ahead and make a copy of the survival template, and I'll go through all the logic and the things that are happening inside the template. So thanks for tuning in, and I hope everyone's doing well. Now, I've gone over this template already on the Game Jam announcement a few weeks ago, but this will be a standalone one. So if you've seen that last one, it's going to be pretty much the same info. And we'll go over all the logic and the things that you can do with it. All right, just loading in now. All right, so we've got our template here. We have our forest area with a stone cave and a fishing area and a campsite. When you repair the bridge and cross it, you come to the desert area. There's not much of the desert area. It's just got some basic stuff. And then when you cross the desert, you come into the snow area, and you need to craft a jacket by harvesting wool and get to the top of the mountain to win. That's simple objectives, but all it has is all the logic that you need in order to make a survival game. So I'll go and play a round of it just to show you it in action, and then we'll go over the logic together. So survival template, we're going to start. The objective is to not let your health reach 0. And you can lose health if you're starving, freezing, or you can use traps. I don't think I put traps in this template, but it's just an example. You collect resources and craft tools. So you'll need an axe to farm wood, you'll need a pickaxe to mine stone, and you need a fishing rod to catch fish. Pretty easy. So you can see your stats on the left over here. So you got your hunger, you need to eat food or you starve. You have energy, so you need energy to perform tasks such as chopping trees, mining stone, that sort of thing. If you run out of energy and you try to harvest things, you start losing health for each time you try to do a task without energy. You can go to a tent to restore energy. Temperature, so if you're freezing, you lose health, so you need to stay warm at night by lighting a campfire and sticking next to it. All right, so we're introduced to the campfire area. It lets us know that we need to press E to interact with the campfire, so we'll go ahead and do that. We get a quest to say find 8 wood, and you need wood to create a workbench. If we try to build it now, it lets us know that we don't have enough wood. For the sake of the template, I'll put all the wood right here to make it easy. Usually you can scatter it around the forest and get people to look for it and then come back to build a workbench, but for the sakes of a template, I just put it all there. Now we've got our workbench. So when we're crafting at the crafting table, you'll see the resources. When you walk away from the crafting table, it will switch back to the health and energy. You can push the middle mouse button to switch between those HUDs. So if I push the middle mouse button down, you can see I can see my stats, and now I can see my resources. So you can always switch between them. Now we're going to push E, and we're going to craft a wooden axe. Now before I pick it up, I want to show you that if you try attacking a tree or something, it doesn't work. But when you pick up an axe, this one has more explanations, so I'll explain that in a moment. But when you push 1 on the keyboard, it brings up our axe, and now we can hit the tree. You can push another number to put it away, and you'll see that we can't do any damage anymore, but it does take energy. Now you can see the sun is setting. It means that nighttime is coming, and you should light a campfire to prevent losing health. So we'll chop down this tree. We also got a quest to build a tent, and we'll go ahead and pick up those resources as well. All right, so we'll let it go down, let the sun go down, and we'll see in the top left corner my health bar go down as the damage happens because it's cold. But we can light a campfire using wood, and I think it's bugged in this template, but if you walk in and out, it stops the damage. I will look at getting a fix for that. It was working when I uploaded it, but for some reason it's not when it's a template. But you can stick near a campfire and it will prevent you from taking damage and you stay warm. You can also build a tent. You can see our energy level here is 87, and if we build a tent, we can stand near the tent to get our energy back. As you can see, the energy is now 100. When nighttime turns into day, the tent disappears and you need to make a new one. So keeping resources, you need to keep getting resources to build the tent. Next, we had a description earlier to describe harvesting. So if you want to harvest berries or straw, all you do is just hold right click until the bar goes down to 0, and now we've got berries in our inventory. We can also do the same with straw. You can also let go and then come back later and continue where you left off, and now we harvested the straw as well. There's a cave over here, so we'll go and check it out. Here it says you'll need a pickaxe to mine stone. You use the number 2 to bring out your pickaxe, left click to mine, and it will use energy with every swing. We don't have a pickaxe, so if we push 2, nothing happens. And if we bring out our wooden axe, nothing happens. So we need to go and find a pickaxe in order to mine that stone. We also have a fishing area. You need to obtain a fishing rod to catch fish. So we don't have a fishing rod, so nothing's going to happen here. So no fishing can be done as of yet. It says we need to repair the bridge. Over here is the repair the bridge quest. It says we need 10 straw and 10 planks. You can get all of that by chopping down the tree. Let me quickly chop down a tree for the wood fire, for the campfire. But if we wanted to build a plank, wooden plank requires 2 wood. I'll go ahead and put down our campfire. I don't want to die, so I walked out and into the area. It should automatically stop the damage, but again, I think there's a message that's incorrect, and it just keeps doing damage even though you're in it. And we just wait for the night time to pass. You can spend this time here crafting a sword, but you need stone for a sword, and we can't get stone unless we get the pickaxe. We can create a coat. We need wool, but there's no wool in this area either. Since we picked up this package which cheats and gives us the resources to continue, we can go ahead and repair the bridge. Normally you'll have to go and harvest for it. And here we go. Now we have a traveling merchant. He basically wants to give us a pickaxe if we give him some fish. And he gives us a fishing rod so we can go and catch some fish. I can collect this here and this will give us our 3 fish, but I want to show the fishing example. So I'll go over to the lake and we'll catch some fish. The fish is an RNG system. So you cast a rod. When you got a fish on the line, you got to press E. To see a fish on the line, you'll see a glowing visual effect right there. If I don't push E within 2 seconds, the fish goes away and we have to try again. So we failed that. The timer is between 3 and 12 seconds or 3 and 15 seconds before a fish shows up. Now when I press E, we've caught a fish. Press E again to cast a line. And we caught another fish. And you can use this fish for the quest, or you can cook the fish and eat them. You can do all sorts of things with the resources. It's up to you what you want to do. And now we've sometimes the fish goes away, so you don't guarantee to catch the fish when there's one on the line. There's about 10 or 20% chance that it will disappear. So this one's one of the longer ones, and now we've got our 3 fish. I'll go ahead and chop this tree down so we got some wood for the nighttime. Now we'll light that campfire and we'll walk back in. Oh, no, that didn't work. Okay, that's good now. Let's build a tent. And we don't have enough resources. Our health is low and our hunger is low. So if we push I and go to Misk, we got some berries before. We can consume that berries by pressing C, and you will see that it is, looks like I died. Oops. Don't know why that pop-up came up. So it looks like I died and got game over. So I'm going to have to start again. But this time I can fly through it because I don't have to read everything. Alright, so we start our quest. We pick up our wood. We build our bench. And we build our axe. It tells us that we need to push 1 to bring out our axe. And we also need to right-click to harvest the berries and straw. I did skip this earlier. So now I can build our tent because that's our next quest. And that's built. Now we've got our resources for the bridge. And that's built because we're using the skip function, basically. So we now got the quest to catch fish. This thing here has 3 fish. For the sakes of skipping this quest. And now we've got our pickaxe. So we can use our pickaxe to harvest some stone, and then we can use the stone to build a sword. And that sword allows us to harvest the wool we need in the next area. So if I go ahead and just chop down this rock, I can pick up our stones. And then we can go to our crafting bench and we can build a sword that requires 3 stone. Awesome. Now we use the number 3 to bring out our sword, number 2 to bring out our pickaxe, number 1 to bring our wooden axe. And depending on what equipment you have out, it changes the functions of what you can interact with. So the wooden axe can only chop down trees. So now it's freezing up on the mountain where the snow is. We can use our sword to harvest wool from the sheep, and then we use the wool to go back to the workbench and craft our coat. When we equip our coat, a message gets sent which turns off the damage on top of the mountain so it doesn't damage us, the freezing cold basically. So we've got our sword and we can now hit the sheep. If we bring out another weapon, you'll see nothing happens and we can't damage the sheep unless we have our sword out. So having these tools are really great. Once we build our coat, then we can go on top of the mountain. And once you're on top of the mountain, the game finishes when you enter this top area. So these are the basic functions of a survival game. Now I'll go through the logic and explain what's happening and what workarounds we used to make it so we can have the tools interact with different things in the environment. All right, so in the mountain, somewhere deep in the mountain, we zoom in, we got a logic floor. Now you can visit this logic floor at the start of the game. You have logic floor. It will take you in here and then you can talk to these panels and they'll tell you what the numpad or the things on the grass area in front of the panel does. And then you're able to change that logic as you need it. So here, this one here is just toggle off purchases. So I use a message in the rules that validates if you've got enough resources. If you do, it sends a message, purchase successful. Now, purchase successful is used for all the things that you can craft, but the difference is it toggles on and off the things that you're trying to craft. So when you say you want to craft a coat, it activates the spawner with the coat, goes through the rule system to see if you have the resources. If you do, it spawns the coat and then turns it off. I think I got disconnected. That's weird. Okay, I think I'm back. It dropped out for some reason, so give me a moment. Okay, so I think we're back. Sorry about that. Don't know why it dropped out. All right, so the next logic here is day and night cycles with the temperature display. So all timers can be adjusted to suit your needs. So as the sun rises, the sun is setting, and nighttime, there's different logics there, and I can show you that through the editor. This one here is the rule system key inputs. So with the middle mouse button, when you push the middle mouse button, it switches between the HUD and the statuses of the resources. Next, we got start game message. This triggers the hunger timer, and also the defeat component is placed here as well. This one looks empty, but it's not. This is the toolkit. This is the main thing that makes this template work. There's an invisible toolkit on the avatar at the moment, and it has a whole bunch of mechanisms which allow you to bring out the axe, the pickaxe, the sword, the fishing rod activation. All that sort of thing can be done in the toolkit. I'll show you that in the editor because it is not it's not visible in game. It's an invisible item. All right, these are all the different resources you can collect in the game. So I used as many default assets as I can. So that's a straw. I know it's massive, but you can replace that to whatever you want. Stones, berries, fish, wool, plank of wood, and just normal wood. So these are all the different collectibles that you can use inside the game. You can also add other things like bucket of water, bottles of water, candy bars, energy drinks, that sort of thing. Depending on your environment for your survival game, you'll alter the resources as you need to. All right, we got a fish. When a fish is caught, it sends a message to kill this fish, and then it respawns again. This adds 1 to the rule system, so it tells the rule system you have got a fish. So it's not using a collectible, it's basically using a death message. This is the berry bush. So when you pick the berries, I only had 1 bush to really work with. I couldn't use my custom ones for this. So what I've done in the template is when you pick the berry, the bush disappears, but ideally you want the bush to be empty, and after a day or 2 the berries grow back again, and then you can pick more berries. The logic is already in the template using the tree and the straw mechanics. So if I go to the straw, when you pick the straw, it spawns this little one, and then when the sun rises, it spawns this one, and when the sun rises the next day, it spawns this one ready to pick. So each day it grows bigger and bigger, so the forest and the environment is kind of regenerating after you've harvested it, which makes a really good resource management / survival type of game. Same with this tree. I had 5 different trees, and it was like a stump, and it was growing really slowly until it was a big tree. I couldn't get my 5 trees approved, so I had to use basic assets. So what I've did is I've just made it so it's 4 days a stump, and then on the 5th day it's a big tree to harvest, but ideally you would replace these assets with your own custom ones that grow. You can add and minus as many steps as you want. So if you want the tree to take longer to grow or quicker, you just remove some of the steps in between. This is the no energy damage. So if you have no energy left and you're trying to harvest trees or rock, this here will damage the avatar each time you press the left click. This one here is a hunger dot display. So you'll have the hunger on the left with the dots, and the dots decrease as you're getting more hungry and hungry. And these are the intervals for that. These ones here are the flashing dots. So if you have 3 dots left, these are the 3 flashing dots. If you have 2 dots left, these are the 2 flashing dots, and these are the 1 flashing dot. And they flash faster and faster as you have less dots. So it kind of gives you an urgency that you need to eat. And when you have no health left, you start taking damage until you die. So tutorial pop-up display. This logic is a pop-up display to inform the player as a tutorial. It only triggers once. So that's just askers there, I believe. And then you got your weapons here. So these are the different tools. You can replace these tools, add more or less, but these are the things that interact with the environment. And I think that is all for the logic floor. So we've gone through a gameplay element, and we've gone through the logic floor element. Now I'm going to go through the logic floor in the editor. So here we got our main thing that makes this whole game genre work at this stage. It's a little hacky, but this is the toolbox. So what's happening here? So this toolbox has a pickable, and this pickable has a tag tool. And what happens is we're using a sound component on the avatar spawn. So on an avatar spawn, we have play sound. You can add the feature to play sound. And when the game begins, it will play no sound and send a message interact. So the player is automatically sending the message interact, and it's sending it to specific tags, which is a whole map, and it's doing it to a tag called tool. So that is the tool in the logic floor. So this will automatically pin itself to the avatar. So if I make this visible and press tab, you can see right here, I have the box on me. You can't see me, it's covering me, but this is what it looks like when it's not invisible. And this one is on the avatar the whole time. If you press E to drop it, it drops and automatically picks it up straight away. So you can see I've dropped it, but it comes straight back to the avatar. So the avatar can't really get rid of it. But when you press E, it sends a message to interact around it. So you can see here, message on drop, trigger interact. Because E won't trigger interact because you're holding something, I use the drop function to send the message to interact instead. But this one's invisible, so you don't get to see it while the game is being played. But what I have set up here is active properties and toggles. So when you acquire a sword, so this is the sword, and when you build the sword, you pick it up, and when you pick it up, it sends a message acquired sword. And what that allows the toolbox to do is that it will turn on the toggle, and when you turn on the toggle, when you press 3 on the keyboard, it will make the sword visible. And it's the sword that you're holding with the toolbox, and that applies to all of the tools. So number 2, when you acquire the pickaxe, it allows you to push 2, which toggles between the visibility and non-visibility of the tool. And that applies as well with number 1 and the acquired axe. So when you pick up the wood axe, you can now press 1 to display the axe as a weapon that you could use in the environment. On this side here is the opposite. So when you push anything other than 1 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 on a keyboard, it will make your axe invisible. So if you pull out a pickaxe or you don't have another item, it will just put away the axe and stop the functionality of it. Same with using the pickaxe. If you use another number than 2, it will make the visibility of the pickaxe false. And the same thing happens with the sword. If you push anything other than 3, it will make the visibility of the sword invisible. Now the damage doesn't come from the actual weapons itself. You can see here when you select it, there's no behaviors or components. It's just got a tag on it. And that tag is purely for the actor property to turn it visible and invisible. So none of these are doing anything but other than showing the axe when you push 1 and making the axe disappear and putting out another weapon when you push another number. All the damage and stuff comes from these numpads here. So I'll bring these out. There should be 3. And they're stacked on top of each other. And what happens here is the replace asset happens. So when you have a parented object and you've got children attached to them and they move with this pickable, when you use a replace asset, whatever it replaces with will still be attached to the parent. So you can replace something and that will still hang around the avatar. If you've used an asset spawner, it will spawn the asset, but it won't be attached to the pickable. So this will allow you to have something that you can hold, such as an asset spawner. When you push a button, it can plop things around a map or on the ground, and it won't follow you around. But the replace asset still sticks with you. And you can see we've got a preset called sword damage. We've got another preset called pickaxe damage. And we've got another preset called axe damage and animation. So if we go ahead and go to our presets and we'll just type in damage, you can see there are our 3 damage things that come out with the replace tool. And we'll bring them out and show you what it's all about. All right, so we got the axe damage and animation. So you'll see that when you left click, I'm using the visual effects of an animation swiping just to give it an extra effect. And when you toggle on 1, it will allow you to send a message. So let me go ahead and edit the logic. So when you push 1 on a keyboard, it will toggle this on. And when you left mouse click, it will damage any tag in range, which is in that yellow circle that has the tag tree. And a tree will lose 8 health each time you left mouse click. And it toggles off when you push another button down. So when you put away the axe, it will toggle this off. So when you left mouse down, this does not trigger, which means a tree will not get damaged. When you push 1, it will bring the axe out and allow you to toggle and damage the tree. That applies to the other things as well. So we got a 2 function and the 1 and other numbers turn it off. And what the left mouse button allows you to do is take away health from anything in this yellow circle that has the tag rock. So that means our pickaxe is only doing damage to things that have the tag rock, which is all the stones inside the cave. And I think the cave is just here. So when I click on this, you can see it has the tag rock and you can adjust the health. And the health will let you determine how many hits it needs from the weapon before it opens up and spawns some stone. Next we have the sword damage. So if we press 3, it will toggle on our sword. When we left mouse down, it will damage anything with the tag sheep or foe inside this circle. So we've got the sheep to harvest the wool to build the coat. But you can also have foe or enemy or something like that. So if you want to attack bears or panthers or things that are attacking you in a wild, you can use the sword for multiple damage purposes. And you can adjust how much damage it does with the slider. And that is the main function of this toolbox, how to get the environment to react with the left mouse click based on what you have out. You can alter this as many tools as you want. You can have 4, 5, and 6. I have the shortcuts already in the game, but they don't have any tools attached to them. You can just go ahead and duplicate one on each side, and then you can just change the number from 3 to 4, and the message to toggle it on could be acquired, I don't know, shotgun, and then you can have something that activates with the shotgun. You can have the shotgun pointing out, and then you create a toggle, and instead of having a message broadcaster with left click, you can have an asset spawner with left click, and that asset spawner can shoot a projectile. And when you put the shotgun away, that won't shoot a projectile anymore. So you can have all different tools and weapons and different functionalities. You just need to use some imagination and expand on basically what is here. The tools here only send a message when it's collected, so these don't have any function when you equip them from the inventory. They're just purely there to activate this toolbox. So we have another thing here with the trees. So with the trees, you can have multiple presets. So I don't know if I kept the presets of the other trees. Let me have a look. No, I don't, but just to show you what I did have. Workspace, my wallet. Nope, I don't have it here. Let me just see if I can find it on the next page. Might not be on this account, might be on another account. But I had 5 stages of trees growing taller, and all you need to do is just replace the preset. So if you go to the presets, you got your tree 1, tree 2, tree 3, tree 4, and all you need to do is just bring out the tree. You can replace it with another asset that you have created, and then you can click replace, and then you can save it over the preset. You just type in tree for tree 2, and then done. And then when tree 2 comes out, it will look like the other tree that we just saved. And you can alter anything you like and save over the preset to make your own custom map using these functions. And the same here happens with the straw. You can just change the assets to make it look like your own, but these ones work just fine, and you can customize your map like that. Same with these collectibles. I put visuals around them so you can see that it's a pickable or something that's interactable, and when you collect it, it adds resources to the rule system to let the rules know that you have picked up 1 wool or that you've picked up 1 wood, that sort of thing. So I've just used a single message add resource, which is a message argument, and it has all these different resources that you can add to the rule system for calculation purposes. So let's go to the rule system. This is the last part of it, and we're going to go all the way to the top and let that load. So basically put everything here labeled. So if you want to find something quickly, you can see what, if you want to know what the key inputs are, you can go to key inputs, click the little target, and it'll take you there. If you want to see what the campfire timer is, you can click on that, and it'll take you to the campfire timer, and there's the settings for that as well. I put everything in one row, so it's easy to navigate the blueprint, and we'll go through it together. All right, so the first thing that happens is HUD. So when you join the game, it sends a message HUD, which activates the HUD system, so you can see all the different variables on your screen. And you can change all of these here. basically just shows, you know, your hunger, your energy, your temperature, and a message to change between them. So I got the HUD stats and the HUD resources, and when you push the middle mouse button, there is a logic that switches between these two. When there's a banner that pops up, these are all the messages and the descriptions here to inform the player how to play the game or what functions they have been activated and how to use them. It's very important to let the player know how to use the tools, and it's also important to introduce them one by one and not overwhelm the player too much at the beginning. It's good to introduce a tool, let them use it for a quest, and then let them make something with it, and then introduce a new tool. Show them how to use it, let them do a quest, come back, introduce a new tool. If you do all three at once and then 3 explanations, it's too overwhelming. So it's a good idea to bring things in one at a time with an example on how to use it, so you can train the player on how your tools work. Next is the banner. We use a message argument, which then sets the text value to whatever you want, and then a banner will display it. So you can send a message argument, and then in a field you can say whatever you want it to say. When it sends it to the rules, it brings up the banner with whatever message that you want to show the player. These are the key inputs. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, middle mouse, right click, left click, and these are all the messages that get sent when you push the mouse button down. Here's the hunger, so the math check. So the hunger starts off with the value of 100. If it goes over 100, we got a message to set it to 100. Maybe you eat something when you're full. You don't want the numbers to go higher than the max. So we basically have a check. If it's greater than or equals to 100, then we set the value to 100. We also subtract hunger and then check it. So each time the hunger goes down, we check it with the comparison to see if it's between 100 and 91, or if it's between 90 and 81, if it's between 80 and 71, and then we set the different messages out. These messages get sent to the dots, so you know how many dots to display on the HUD. And that's basically it for the hunger system. Then you got the hunger blink timer. So as the timer hits, as the hunger hits lower, you want the timer to flash. And this is basically a timer system to let you know if there's a gap, and then the gap basically blinks, and then the blink resets and shows hunger. So it's just a timer system to turn the dots on and off. Not necessary, but it's just another way to display low health. Temperature damage. So we got temperature here, and we set the text in the display to let you know if it's warm, hot, cold, freezing, that sort of thing. And then we do a check on that temperature, and we can see if it's above 0, then the temperature damage is on. And if it's less than or equals to 0, then the temperature damage is off. So we just basically use an on and off function to see if the player is to take temperature damage or not. This one here is the set resource cost. So each time that you buy something, it sets the resource cost first. So just say you want to make that you want to build a tent. A tent will cost 1 wood and 2 straw. So when you go to purchase it, it will set the wood cost to 1, the straw cost to 2, and then everything else to 0, because you don't need any of these resources to build the tent. When all of these are set to 0, and this is 1 and this is 2, then we do a delay just to give it a chance to set before we do a comparison. So we do a delay check and then a delay check. So this one doesn't happen first, it happens here. So delay check, it will check to see if your wood amount that you're holding is greater than or equals to the wood cost. So the wood cost would have been set to 1 and the straw to 2. So is the wood cost that you're holding basically less to what you're holding now? So is the wood that you're holding more or equal to the wood that you need to craft it? If it is, it will move on to the next step. And the next step will say, is your straw equal than or greater to the straw cost? And if it is, it will go to the next one and then check to see if your plank is equal to or greater than the plank cost. Now the plank cost will be 0, so it will automatically be true. The meat will be 0, it will automatically be true. The stone will be 0, it will be true, and same with the fish, and same with the wool. So after it goes through these one by one and it's all correct, it will send a message, purchase successful, and the item will be spawned. If one of these are false, it won't go to the next one. So it will never make it to the end of the chain to say purchase is a success. It will basically send a message C4 over here, and it will say, you're less than the amount that you should be having. And if that's the case, it will send a message to the banner to say you don't have enough stone, or that you don't have enough meat, or whatever the resource is. It will let the player know why they couldn't purchase the item. And that goes by message arguments here. So this message argument goes to the banner display. The banner display will set the text over here, and the variable here will display how long that message is displayed on the banner. So it will show not enough berries for 1 second on the banner. If the purchase is successful, it will go over here, and what it will do is it will take your wood and subtract how much wood it was needed to build. So if you had 3 wood and we only needed 1, and the cost of the wood was 1, it will subtract 1 from your wood supply and give you 1 less wood for the purchase. Same with the straw. If it was set to 2, it will take away 2 straw from your amount, and that would be how much straw you have left. And once purchase is successful, you will get the item. If you collect the item, as was shown earlier, it will add the resource to your amount. So when you collect wood or collect straw or build a plank and collect it, harvest stone, when you pick them up, it sends a message argument to this rules here, and it will basically say how many stones the message argument says. It will add it to your stone amount, and that will be the result of your stone. And it does that for each resource. So each time you collect something, this is the calculation where it happens in the rule system. Next we have fishing. So when you cast and catch timer, so basically when you cast a fishing rod, it will roll a number between 3 and 15. And that's how many seconds you need to wait before the fish will show the glowing visual effects. So the fish might show up in 3 seconds, the fish could show up in 15 seconds, or any number in between. And then it will start the timer. When the timer hits 0, then that visual effects will show up ready for you to catch the fish. So when we compare the timer, and the timer is equal to 0, it will spawn the catch fish. So this is where it happens. So there's a message broadcaster that's always ticking 1 second every second. It would subtract it from the RNG2 total, and then every time it subtracts 1 every second, it will compare the fish timer. If the fish timer, which is the RNG2, is equal to 0, it means that the amount of time needed before the fish to spawn is done, and then it will spawn that visual effect and also toggle on the ability to press E to catch the fish. Also, when you cast, it will cast a number between 1 and 100, and then it will check the result. So a random number is rolled between 1 and 100 when you cast your line. If the number is between 1 and 70, it means that you're going to catch a fish when it shows up, and you press E. If it's between 71 and 99, it means that you didn't catch a fish. So the fish will fish will swim away and you won't catch a fish when you press E. So there's an element of chance that even when it shows up that you won't catch a fish, just like in real life. And if it rolls 100 out of 100, you can spawn a special catch. Maybe there's a special item. Maybe you get a random bigger fish. Maybe you get a boot, something random like that. It happens 1 out of 100 chance. So you can have something rare in order to make fishing a bit more interesting, or you can have a quest for someone to catch like this really awesome fish that is very rare to catch. So I've added that function in, although I don't have really a special fish in this template, but the logic is there. And when you catch the fish, it will add 1 fish to your resources. Now, next we have energy usage. So when we send a left click message, it will send a message -1.energy and will subtract 1 from your energy. Then it will compare. If you have less than 0 energy, you have no energy, and no energy will set the energy to 0. So if you have 0 energy and you keep using it, if you didn't have this function in, it will say -1, -2, -3, -4 each time you keep going. But you don't want negative energy, you just want 0. So each time you use it, it will check to see if your energy is less than or equals to 0. And if it is, it will just set it to 0. So if it goes to -1, it will instantly go to 0. Just to keep things consistent and expected. Here as well, what do I got here? Energy up. So every second you'll get 8 energy until your maximum energy is 100. So energy up happens near the tent. So when you rest near the tent, it sends a message energy up. And every second that you're near it will increase your energy by 8 until you have the maximum of 100. And once you have 100 energy, it will turn off that function, so you can't go over 100 energy. The campfire timer. So depending on how long you want your campfire to be lit, you can adjust that here. So I've got 25 seconds. So when I turn on the fire by placing the wood, it will go for 25 seconds, and after 25 seconds, it will turn off. So basically, when a campfire is 0, it will turn off the campfire if the timer of the campfire is less than or equals to 1. And basically, if it goes below 0, it will just set it to 0. Eating berries. So when you go into inventory and consume a berry, it will roll a number between 1 and 10, and then it will check that RNG. If your RNG is between 1 and 8, it's a good berry, and a good berry will heal you. If the roll is between 9 and 10, it's a bad berry, and a bad berry will make you start losing energy until you have no energy left. So it's like a poison effect. So you have a random chance that the berry that you eat will make you sick and you lose energy. And in order to gain that energy back, you need to go and rest at a tent. So eating berries comes with a risk. And I think that's all. That's all of the logic of this survival template. There's a lot here to go through. You can expand on this template. There's a lot of things that you can add on your own with better weaponry. Depending on your environment, you can have different resources to collect, different enemies to battle, more things to unlock. You can have an advanced workbench. You can have different materials added, so you can have metal sheets, steel, platinum, rockets, gunpowder, all sorts of things. But this is the basis of having a survival template and a logic that you'll probably need to get most of the functions done. But I think that's all. If you have any questions, feel free to message me or send a message in this chat. I'll be happy to go through it. Or you can just message me on Discord and I'm happy to help. But you can access this template and edit it any way you want. and change the presets and layout or environment however you want. If you want a particular function for your experience already, but not the template, remember that you can Control C to copy any rule, and then go into your experience, open up the rules and press Control V, and it will paste those rules as well as the messages attached to it. So you don't have to reset this up in your own experience if you already have something built or are building something. So if you have some sort of function that you would like to take, you can just Control C and then Control V in your own experience. You can even Control V in a notepad, and the notepad will have code, and then you can use that code later on to Control C and Control V in your experience. It saves you from copying one thing, going into your experience, then coming back to copy something else. So you can copy as many things as you want, put it in a notepad. Just make sure you copy it section by section into your new experience. But I think that's all for today. And if you have any questions, just reach out. But thanks for tuning in. Take care. Bye-bye.